All right, I'm just going to make a new video here explaining how we're coming along with the project. I made some major updates to public files. I did that once I solved the problem with communications. Um, I saw that I'd earlier solved how to put up a file to the public files, but the portal is certainly more than a single file. It's going to be an entire library. And so after structuring communications a certain way, um, I recognized I should update public files. So let's look at that first. Um, Everything's going to be restricted based on the user and the groups that they were assigned to. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would we pay for this incredible system if I, an everyday user, cannot get to all the files on there? And I would say, well, it's actually to help you. In other words, what do we call email from unwanted sources? We call that spam. In other words, there's going to be information on here that not everybody wants. Um, all the information will be important to somebody and useful to somebody, but that doesn't make all information useful to every single person. So by putting in this filtering system right from the beginning, I think we're going to make it more efficient and more useful. We're going to keep you from discovering unnecessary items. Okay, so again, this is you as a user. I'm going back to this idea of colors and your full name and your title as was referenced from the surveys. Okay, and now we need to pick who we're going to save the or share the file with. Right now I'm going to pick staff. And this is where this is different. In other words, the first thing you see is the files that have already been shared with this particular group by you. And you can see them by default. You're chosen. You could also see all the files shared with this particular group by others who are also assigned to that group. But by default, it's going to be you through the board. And then by date, the newest announcement or file back to the oldest. All right. At that point, you can decide, okay, yeah, I guess I never did put that one file up. I need to. So you can choose Upload File. You're going to have to browse for that first. You browse and choose for it. It'll say uploading. That will go away once it's uploaded. Then you need to identify what kind of file it is. So maybe this is a presentation. Okay, then that opens up the next step. Okay, you need to give it a title or a description. So I guess it's a good time to explain the difference between, why are we identifying file type and file title description. File type is going to name the file. So the naming process is going to come by year, month, day, then the person who uploaded the file, then what they identified it as type, in this case, presentation file, so right there. Okay, why do we want to do that? Because the database, as I mentioned before, the portal is going to be a library. It's going to have multiple, potentially thousands of files. And think of your personal computer. The more files you put on it, the slower it goes. So you don't want to, and also since it's cloud storage, that's another cost. So the more files that are stored up there, the higher cost is. So through the survey, I learned that you'd like to clean this out every year. Well, the easiest way to clean out files by year is to have them named based on year. And perhaps occasionally there'll be something that you need to save for, 10, 20 years. Okay, fine. Hopefully this system, first of naming it through the file type, will help whoever maintains it do so properly. Okay, now this name in many times is going to be kind of generic. In other words, I might put up several presentation files on the same day. And if I did, then they'd all have basically the same name, so how would you know what's what? Well, that's why we're doing a title description. So you need to put that in there, and you could say, okay, this is the COVID report from the first quarter 2022. Okay. Then you upload, and there's your new file, and it's highlighted in such a way that you can tell that it's new. Obviously shared by you, what you identified its type as, what your title description was, and then on the date it was uploaded. Okay. At this point, you could choose with any of these, say, oh, I want to delete it. And it says, are you sure? And well, in this case, I'll cancel because I really don't want to delete it. But maybe you look at it and go, well, it is a presentation, but it's more of a report. I better edit that. So you can click on the edit, and you could change the file if you wanted to, but in this case, I don't. So I'm done with this section, so I'll just click done. And then it brings up the next point, and I could say, well, okay, did want to change it to a report. Okay, so I'm done with that. And now you could go and say, you know what? It wasn't really the first quarter of 2022. It was actually the fourth quarter of 2021. I better change that. So I changed that, and then I'm able to confirm all of those things is done and upload. And there it is with the new title and the new file type showing. Okay. So that's how I see public files. And again, I haven't built this view, but I will, where you can click on all, and then you can see others who have also loaded up files and all the files shared by date with this particular group. All right, so now I'm going to go ideally back. Oh, I guess I can't. So let me jump back myself. I need to add a button there. And maybe I should just do that now. Add to the home screen here momentarily. Saving that new link. Okay, I can get back. Calendar works the same way. The only thing I did is I added the conclusion from the survey was that we need to have some kind of identifier for full names and etc. So this worked the same way. You'd pick a date, you'd choose new event, you'd add the details and what group you're going to share it with. So it's kind of opposite. You add the day first, then the details, then the group. Normally we pick the group first, so if we find this confusing, we could switch this around. But I think when you make events, you normally start with date, but I don't know, you could start with the group. Okay, so I need feedback that way. Then we would create it, and now it's created, and there it shows up, and okay. So that's basically the same. And then communications, completely new, never shown to you before. So this is how this works. Similar to files, you see that you are here, the one in control. You need to pick a group. Once you pick a group, you'll see the communications previously shared. Some communications will be text only, and some will have text and attachment. So in this case, I'm ready to make a new one. I need to add the title, the announcement text. Now at this point, that could be the whole announcement. It's going to this physicians group. Oh, that should say physicians group right there. So, okay. And you could simply click create announcement, and it would show up as an announcement. But in this case, I wanted to show you what would happen if you wanted to add a file. So I need to browse that file, and now I need to identify its type, and now I confirm. And now I have a new announcement that's both text and attachment, and it has its title, and again, you could delete or you could edit. And I'm not going to delete now. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. Okay, now here's the thing that I've been thinking about. In some ways, this is sensible to have. You basically have 6 different forms of file, potential places to go for files, right? You got public files, shared files, physician files, physical or physician education files, physician material files, and report cards. To me, those are all types of files. I'm not sure, other than maybe report cards, if all of those are necessary. You could certainly have them, but again, we have to clearly state, what's the difference between a public file and a shared file? And what's the difference between physician files and physician education files? Those sound very similar. And I could see report cards as being separate. It is a file, but it's very specific, and it's only going to be for one person, I would imagine. So I could see that being its separate thing. Oh, and this is also files too. Physician materials. So this and this and this all seem very similar. These two seem all similar. Okay, that's different enough. So I need some feedback that way. I can just keep going with this, but in the end, the next stage is usability studies, which means testing it out. And if this doesn't make sense to people, then we're going to fail in the usability studies. And I'd rather not do that, because that would mean I'd have to redesign things. So we could solve this now. Here's a proposal. Proposal 1, we just have files and report cards and calendar and communications. So that's the most simplistic way to go about it. Or we could have maybe public files or shared files, just one of those, and maybe physician materials would cover this and this, and report cards and communications and calendar. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. So I'm willing to go any route, including the existing one that we have now. But do know that I think we would have long-term problems, just because physician materials sounds so similar to physician education files, which sounds very similar to physician files. So how would a physician know if they wanted to go back and grab something from 6 months ago, and they're like, oh, I know they sent it to me as a file, okay, so, and they got these 3 to pick from. How would they know which one and why? We'd have to have very clear purposes, and I'm almost tempted to write them out down here, so you know why. These different groups exist, or different sections exist. Okay, I hope you find that helpful. I look forward to your feedback, comments. Thank you.